Hello, everybody. I'm Greg Storch, and I want to welcome you to the weekly Roar. Give me a roar, Nelly.
Roar!
I love it. Hey, this week I am continuing the growth series, and oh my gosh, we only have 3 left, but I have a special guest. I mean, a very special guest here today to talk about the law of curiosity. But as you know, first, for those of you that might be watching and don't know who I am, my name's Greg Storch. I'm the founder of Lion Enterprise, a leadership development and coaching company. I am a certified speaker, coach, and trainer, and I'm also a certified professional coach. Now, listen, last week, I spoke with Jill-Ann Anderson about the law of the rubber band, and she was extremely transparent with her personal stories of how life has forced her to stretch and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I hope you caught that video on last Wednesday's watch party in the Lion's Den. But if you were not able to tune into it, do not worry. I got you. You can go to my website at www.lion-enterprise.com. Click on the Lion's Pride Library. You'll see all my videos there, and Jill-Ann's visit with me is number 47. So go check it out. Now, this week, I'm continuing the Grow series, and we're talking about the law of curiosity. Growth is stimulated by asking why. And here with me today, a very special guest, Nelly Eskandary-Gomez. Nelly is the human resources manager at the Lindsay Business Group. She is a pending member of the John Maxwell team. She will be going to the International Maxwell Conference in August this year. And she is a lifelong friend of mine. I have known Nelly since we were just little kids. We went to elementary school together in Daytona Beach, Florida. And that's why I say she is a very special guest of mine. We reconnected a couple of years ago when I was holding a mastermind and she joined. And ever since then, she's been on fire. So we're going to talk to her about that. Nelly, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me. And it's great to be here and be part of this wonderful journey with you.
I cannot wait for the guests to hear about you and the law of curiosity. When I kicked off the 2019 personal growth series, I picked 15 leaders, coaches, and people I knew, and I married them up with the law that I thought represented them the most. And when I got to the law of curiosity, I knew right away I was going to ask Nelly to join me to talk about this law, because over the last couple of years, I've seen you put this law into action and your growth has been exponential. So with that said, I love starting out these discussions by having my guests share a little bit about their growth journey. So tell us a little bit about what your life's been like for the last couple of years as you started out on this journey.
Well, my journey started a couple of years ago when I was preoccupied, stressed, all these things. And I was looking for an avenue to grow myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I stumbled upon my friend Greg and I connected with him and I joined this wonderful mastermind group. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Yes.
And I truly feel that I didn't know then that was the key to opening myself up to a new journey, to finding myself, to finding that, you don't have to be afraid of trying something new. Mm. You gotta keep going. And as I continued, I felt like I was a little cocoon growing into coming out like a butterfly. At the end of that mastermind, I felt like a butterfly. Yeah. And that made me want more. made me thirsty for more because I liked what I felt. I loved how I felt. That's when I got into the next mastermind, which was the 15 laws. And boy, is that bringing up yourself, bringing the mirror to yourself and making sure that you are honest with yourself and dealing with whatever issues that you have to let yourself grow and knock down the barriers to allow yourself to grow.
Yeah. You know, Nelly, I'm sitting here thinking about, you know, growing up with you, and you have actually a bigger story. Can you just share? I want people to hear your story because it's very interesting, and you've always have been faced with change and growth. Now, tell us a little bit about your pilgrimage to the United States, and you left a war-torn country. You were fleeing your country, right?
Yes, yes. I was born in Iran. My father was a diplomat during the Shah's time. And from a very young age, from when I was 11 months old, we moved around a lot. We moved to Germany, Argentina, everywhere. So a couple of years ago, about 40 years ago, when my father was an ambassador in Argentina, he went back and the revolution started. So we had no country to go to. So we came as refugees to the United States. My brother was going to Embry-Riddle University in Daytona Beach. That's how I landed there.
All right.
And he was studying aeronautical engineering, and that's how I landed there.
Wow.
And became friends with Jack Hunt, who took us in like family. And from there, I started a new journey in the United States.
Amazing.
It was tough. It was very tough coming to a new country. And then I've had immigration at my door. I was 13. My sister was 27. And immigration was going to arrest us because we weren't leaving the country.
Oh my God.
Then we got political asylum, and we were able to stay here and be proud Americans.
Wow.
And from there, I just was the first time that I was able to stay in one place for a while. That's why I feel like Daytona Beach will always be in my heart.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, before my junior year in high school, my father passed away. He came from Iran. I hadn't seen him in 4 years because when we came here, he was stuck there. And when he got here, he was around for 15 months and just went to the beach with one of his friends and got hit by a car.
Oh my gosh.
And my life changed from morning to night. And, you know, I could have taken another road. It could have made me depressed, but I took that. I think it gave me more strength as a child to face other things that were coming. You know, it was harsh. It was hard, but you can't dwell on the depressing and the harsh things. You have to pick up and get back on your feet and, you know, do whatever you can.
Right. You had a choice, and that's what you chose to do. I love it. You know, I just want to pause here for a second because people in the United States don't really have experience to relate to what you're talking about. But just for a second, I'm just talking to those people who were born and raised in the United States. Just imagine your country of birth is war-torn and you have to leave it. Where do you go? And as a child, you're going to go wherever your parents pull you, but you can't stay there. Can you imagine being, basically sent away from the United States because it's in war? You can't stay there because if you do, you'll die. So this is what is happening, right, to Nelly as a young child and a baby. So they country to country, and they finally find asylum in the United States, and that becomes their new country. Can you imagine? I can't. So first of all, Nelly, thanks so much for sharing that story. I really felt like people needed to hear that piece of it, because it really talks to who you are today. So thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
So this law is all about being curious. Curious about the things that not so familiar to us, which is perfect for you, right? Here you are in this new place several times. So asking the question, why, right? You get used to that. So your excitement for knowledge and learning is contagious. And I've seen that over the last few years now. It's been amazing. So the first thing I want people to know is, where do you think your natural curiosity comes from, Nelly?
Well, I think, I used to have a nanny that I grew up with that took care of me. And she used to say that I, as a baby, didn't want to sleep. I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and she would have to take me outside and in the stroller so I wouldn't make any noise. And I didn't like to take naps, because I always thought that I was going to miss something. And I've always been like that. Wow. I mean, at the age of 5, I was living in Germany, going to a French school, speaking Italian to my Italian nanny. My parents spoke Farsi. So I was able to manage all of these languages, at the age of 5.
It's amazing.
So that prepared me. And I think from moving around prepared me to be a person that when I go to any kind of environment, it doesn't take long for me to adapt. And, from a young age, I was exposed to that, to different languages, to different cultures.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I knew Italian, when we moved to Argentina, I spoke Spanish quicker than anybody else. I even learned the dialect of the Argentinians. And it was so funny because they interviewed my father. They would interview all the new ambassadors that would come. And they would ask me, how do you know? Because of my curiosity. My curiosity and I get this energy from knowing, from learning. I get a high from knowing new things.
I love it.
It's come with me from birth. I believe that.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that story. So you literally were born curious. That's awesome. It's good because
it didn't kill me.
That's right. Curiosity. So in this chapter on the law of curiosity, John Maxwell shares several suggestions. Actually, the whole chapter is, I think, like 10 suggestions on ways that we can actually cultivate our curiosity. And one of the ways he mentions is for us to have a beginner's mindset. So how do you explain having a beginner's mindset?
Well, you have to look at things with an open mind. Not just that, not going to things thinking that you're a know-it-all. You have to have a beginner's mindset, because you don't know what you're going to be exposed to. If children look at something and it's green and they think they don't like it, how do you know you don't like it unless you try it? So that in itself, you exposed yourself. Well, what do you have to lose? Nothing. You're going to learn and learn and learn. And I will be continuously curious and knowing until the day that I close my eyes, because I love anything. I download books, I read books, I know about different cultures, I know about different people, you know. I want to know. It doesn't matter if it's Barbara Bush or Michelle Obama. I love to learn about people and how they grew up or where they grew up and all these kind of things.
I
So
love it. Yeah, that's exactly right. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about being here in Italy, and this is the same thing that's happening with me a lot. They say that learning a new language is a lot more difficult for adults than it is for children. And I think it's because of this, right? This asking why and having a beginner's mindset. But I wanted to share with you, we were away this weekend and we went out to two different restaurants on two different days, and both times I was actually complimented on my Italian. They said my Italian was very good. And I was really happy about that. And I got to thinking, how did I do that? Because when we lived here 10 years ago, I wasn't that good. And I really didn't care to be good. But I feel like now that I've grown, the 15 laws and just have developed myself as a person, I'm approaching it from a completely different mindset. I'm so much more curious. So that curiosity has allowed me to learn a language where other adults are struggling. I feel like I'm coming along quite well. So I'm loving it.
that's great. Molto bene.
Yeah, grazie. One of my favorite quotes from John Maxwell's when he says, I've seen this in other books, but I love this thing because it makes so much sense. There's a quote that says, experience is the best teacher. But John says, experience isn't the best teacher, evaluated experience is. Oh, he says it in Sometimes You Win and Sometimes You Learn, because he's talking about how reflection plays a large part in helping us to learn something new every day, which is another way he recommends we cultivate our curiosity. So I wanted to ask you, one, do you practice the art of reflection? And if you do, I would love to hear, where's your place to go for you to do that?
Well, as Steve Jobs quote, I love this quote. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You have to connect the dots looking backwards.
Oh, love it.
And the places that I go, I love going on walks, getting up in the morning or during lunch, going for walks. It makes me, it gives me energy, and it helps me reflect and focus on the things that are going on so that I can be a better person every day. Whatever mistakes or errors that one makes, I go back and reflect so that I'm a better person the next day.
I love it.
So that's walks. I don't mind being by myself. And I would love to be near a beach because I was in Daytona Beach, but
wouldn't we all?
Far away from a beach.
Yes.
But that's my ultimate place to go, where there's water.
Yes. I think water really probably is like that number one thing people want to say about that. Water has that effect on people. And, you mentioned taking walks. I found that when in my running years, that running gave me that solitude for reflection. And I spent a lot, that's where I did a lot of my best thinking. On my runs, when I was just by myself and I could just focus on me. So awesome. Okay. So let's talk. Here's a good one. Let's talk about your approach to failures. So a curious person approaches failures in life differently in a good way. And our ability to learn from failure is yet another way that John Maxwell tells us that we can cultivate curiosity. So the question I would like you to answer is, what has been one of the biggest failures that you've experienced in life? And what was the lesson that you took away from it?
Well, the kind of person I am is that I have learned to, even though it's hard when it happens, when failure happens,
Mm-hmm.
you do have to reflect on it and find where, if there was a mistake or what the reason was.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the mistake wasn't your fault, but you have to reflect on it so that going forward, you don't do that again. I had a situation a couple of years ago. I was in sales. I've been in sales way before I was in HR. I've been in HR for 11 years.
Wow.
And I've always built a relationship with all the clients that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sell this voice over IP gateway, and I'm friends with the people that I went, I met in Spain, everywhere. Well, this one client, I did everything 120%. But lo and behold, something come up. They made up some story. And I guess I wasn't the right fit for them, and I didn't fit into the right box. So they asked me to be removed. So as you see, I'm the kind of person that people enjoy being around.
Yes.
And that for me was such demoralizing. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't let it get to me. And that's when I said, I am not going to let this kill me. I'm going to reflect and find a way to help me through this. And by going through the pain and reading the Bible, reading Psalms, I found the answer to my question, which you don't have to fit in everybody's box. You don't have to fit in everybody's box.
Oh,
You're yourself.
love it.
You don't have to be what people want you to, what they want you to be. You have to be what you are. And if they can't accept it, that's okay. It is perfectly fine if you don't fit that, because you're going to fit another box, which is better for you.
That's a huge, huge lesson that you learned from that, what you would see as a failure, because so many people get hung up on what other people think. And your lesson was, it doesn't matter. What matters is what I think.
Yep. And that helps me as a parent, and help my son. I have two boys, and my youngest is still in high school, and he was auditioning for a play and he didn't get the part. And I was able to teach him to accept it, to say, this wasn't for you. There's something else better for you. Yes. There's a reason for this not happening. Be grateful, because there's something better in store for you.
I love that lesson, because, you're helping your son see that opportunity to make a choice, right? When we experience failures, we all have this choice to make, right? We, and my great friend, and you know her very well, Susan Wynn.
Yes.
She is the, be better, not bitter queen. And that's the choice, is when you suffer a failure or experience a failure, you have the choice on whether you're going to be better from it or bitter from it. So what a great lesson that you taught your son there. I love it.
Yes.
We are talking about the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. And we're actually talking about one of the laws, and it's the law of curiosity. I'm here with Nelly Eskandary-Gomez. She's a lifelong friend of mine. I actually paired her up with this law because she's been curious her entire life. I've seen it happen over the last 2 years, and I've been amazed at her growth because of it. So I've asked her to join me, and she is just sharing her heart out about what she's learned from this law, how she's applied it to her own life, and how she's living it on a daily basis, and how it's helping her grow. So Nelly, most people are actually afraid to be curious because they fear like it's going to make them look weak or stupid. They don't want to ask why, that question, or they don't want to fail at things. And many times that right there is what keeps them from moving forward. So as a curious person by nature yourself, how do you get over that fear of worrying about looking foolish? Or in other words, how do you get over yourself in order to cultivate your curiosity?
Well, you have to start by saying, not thinking about what other people think. You just have to stop fearing that and just try it and just immerse yourself in whatever it is. I love helping people. When the industry of telecommunications, that's where I was selling and all that came to an end, I had to find another avenue. So I love helping people. So that's where I figured out that my calling is in HR, and to help people and help companies and help them with employees. I truly believe that each company can be strengthened from within by training and and having the managers and management curious about the employee, and the employee beginning their journey as curious about the company and about where they're going to take their career path.
Oh man, this is good stuff. I love it.
I want to help people go on that journey, and it makes me so happy to see them succeed.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what I want to do, and that's how I came upon wanting to be a John Maxwell mentor, because I want to make a difference in people's lives.
Well, you certainly are. You're going to do it here with this chat we've had on this chapter. So thank you for doing that. But I know your impact is not over. So we're looking for big things from you to come, Nelly.
Thank you.
Hey, you're involved in our Life by Design group. You've been doing great at that. I'm, partnering up with Diane Dick and Melanie Qualls-Ake, and now Dennis has joined the group, right? I know you've been doing that for quite a while now, actually.
Yes.
I think this is your second cycle. So, talk about being very familiar with the 15 laws. Nelly is becoming an expert with this material. So you'll want to join forces with her. And I also know that you'll be in Orlando, Florida this August. I'm making plans to be there with you as you become a certified John Maxwell team member. So what are your plans after certification?
Well, after certification, I want to help. I want to do little masterminds and things like that to help people grow. I speak Spanish fluently. I want to see if I can target Spanish-speaking individuals, professionals, and through Facebook and LinkedIn, find people that I can tell them my story and hear their story and help them through their journey to their success and finding their success and reaching their goals.
Love it. So I'm actually gonna post this video on LinkedIn. So if somebody happens to see this, they may not know you and I, but maybe they want to connect with you. What's the best way for somebody to reach out if they want to just reach out to you and connect?
They can reach out to me through email, and I can post what my information is, but it's Gomez Eskandary@gmail.com. So
Perfect.
Anybody that is interested in talking to me, and I'm here to help.
Okay, Nelly, actually, I'm done bombarding you with these crazy questions. But I do want to really sincerely thank you for taking time out to sit with us and talk about this law and how it's really played a role in your life. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I'm actually thinking about putting together almost a reunion type where I have all 15 people on a panel and where we talk about the 15 laws and just have a round table. So be ready to come back and join the panel because now you're one of them. And I want to thank all of you. I appreciate your support of Lion Enterprise and joining the Weekly Roar. I'm going to be back here next week, same place, same time with Melanie Fuselier. Melanie is the Chief Inspiration Officer for her company, 3P Leads, where she helps others passionately pursue their purpose. She's the leader of the Parent Pursuing Purpose group. And so I've asked her to join me to talk about the law of modeling. And that's exactly what parents do. They model behaviors. And that's why I've asked Melanie to join me next week. This is going to be another great chat about this law as we get close to finishing up these 15 laws of growth. I'm going to hate to see it come to an end. But all right, everybody, until we meet again, remember, be powerful, but stay poised just like a lion. Bye, everybody.